Welcome friends, it is I, your LostScarf, and it's time for the Overwatch Hero Guide to Lucio. That's right, when he's here the beat don't stop unless it's gonna drop, and then it won't stop again, because that's how it is. So Lucio is the best beginner support I feel in the game. He's got a very good heal, just good at healing everyone so you don't have to worry too much about it. He's just very good for it, so that's why he's gonna be the first support we go over. And then we're going to go over another defense hero after that. As always, you should share these guides so that people just have something to learn from and have some ideas on how to play a hero. Very helpful. We're eventually going to get through everybody, so we'll have a good library of just guides worth watching. Another thing is, this is more geared towards beginners, but advanced players might see something they don't know from this. Hopefully they can learn from it, or if they don't learn anything from it and they feel like there's something missing, say so in the comments so that viewers have more to learn. The more everyone learns, the better it is for everybody. So we're going to go over his abilities, combat, we're going to go over just how I feel you can play him. Not everyone to play him, but just some ways you can play him. A little bit about the wall riding, tips and tricks, mode duties, just a lot of stuff like that. So let's get going. So who is Lucio? Lucio Correa dos Santos was born and raised in the poor area of Rio. He used music to uplift the spirits of the people around him. Eventually, Vishkar came to help Rio. That's the company that Symmetra works for, but was very draconian in its control of the slums with like curfews and stuff like that. So Lucio stole Vishkar's sonic tech and used it to rally the people against them. He became an overnight sensation, he became an international star with music, and as a social change figure. Lucio is a great beginner support. The big thing about him is because his heal and speed up are auras, as long as they're in his line of sight, then all he has to worry about is just being around his teammates. He doesn't have to coordinate too much, so he's good for just random play. And also, if you just have a team that just doesn't work that well together, he can keep them alive with his heal, so it's just great that way. Usually just speeding up your team to a location, then healing them while you're there, staying out of the range of your enemies if you can, shooting at them to build up ultimate, just trying to stay alive. He's just great at not having to worry about coordinating too much. Now eventually, of course, you're going to want to build up your ultimate so that you can just use your ultimate to create big opportunities for your team or to stop big opportunities from the enemy team. And there's of course his wall riding, which allows him to get the locations from different vantage points and also be hard to hit. Lucio's abilities. First up is the Sonic Amplifier. This shoots 4 bullets at a time, each dealing 16 damage. They fly really slow, so you may want to lead your shots. His alternate fire is called Soundwave. This is a 25 damage knockback that uses 4 ammo. If you don't have any ammo, you can't use it. His passive is a wall ride, so if you hold jump on a wall, he can ride across the wall. He can also climb surfaces this way. It's really weird how that works. If you get knocked down the hole in the well, you can actually climb back out of the well. It's just a thing you can do. Gravity does not hold him down. It also makes him very hard to hit, so it's useful to use at any time. His shift ability is called Crossfade. In green state, it gives allies plus 30 movement speed, and in yellow state, it heals for 12.5 HP per second. It has a 30 meter range, which is pretty far, and must have line of sight. If an ally is behind a wall, they won't get anything from it. Luckily, it does go through the payload. His E ability is called Amp It Up. This lasts for 3 seconds, increases movement speed by 110%, or healing by 40 HP per second. And finally is his ultimate, Sound Barrier. Lucio jumps into the air and slams on the ground, creating a 500 HP shield for all allies in his aura. It deteriorates over 6 seconds. This ultimate is great for giving your team a shield for a big push, or to buy them time if a big push comes from the enemy team. It's very useful in a lot of situations. Lucio in combat. Now he doesn't have any combos, but he still has a lot to think about. At the start of the match, you're usually helping your allies get over to the location for the objective, either defend or to attack it. And once you're there, you switch over to your healing aura. You're healing up your teammates. You're going to try to hide so you don't get killed by anyone, because if you're dead, then you can't heal anybody to build your ultimate. But you do want to try to get some shots off so you can build up your ultimate, and also just to hurt the enemy. You can kill people. Lucio is capable of killing people if you're really accurate with him, but he's better off just healing his allies and not getting killed, just to keep them alive. Of course, your best way to build up your ultimate is through tanks. Healing your tanks and hurting the enemy tanks, just because they're easier targets to hit, just to build up. Now, if the map has fall deaths in any way that you can push people to, you should consider doing that, but only if you think you can do it safely without getting killed, and that really requires skill and luck and just having the right teammates. I would suggest not doing this with Lucio until you get really good at dodging with him, because if you die, again, you're just going to not help your team because you're dead. That's really not so good. Now, when you do die, you should check to see if your allies are dead as well, how many of them are dead, and if they're tanks. If a couple of them are dead, or if a tank is dead, you should consider sitting there and waiting so you can speed them over back to the fight, because they're just so slow, or just to get an entire team there for a big push. It's always something worth considering. Something else you can think about is, of course, when to use speed boost when you're in combat. Now, that's usually when a bad situation happens. If you get cornered, speed boost to get the hell out of there, or maybe a devault or just some big thing, use speed boost to get your teammates out of a bad situation, Or, of course, if you have your ultimate, when there's a bad thing happening, speed boost to get everyone out of there, and then you're good. But you can also use your heal during the ultimate to heal anyone who's hurt, and that'll be great as well. It's really up to you what's happening, and of course, when you're going to consider your ultimate. For the most part, it's whether or not your teammates have a lot of ultimates going on and you gotta break open the enemy, or if the enemy team looks like they're gonna do a bunch of ultimates and you gotta do it to keep your team alive. And that's just knowing the game and having a right feel for what might need to be done or what might be happening. But the safest thing to do is ask your team if they want to use your ultimate, then you use it. Or, if you see a bad situation happening, use your ultimate to save everyone, and that can work as well. It really depends on the feel of things and what your team needs, and you'll learn that with time. Mode duties. First up, we're going to talk about capture, hybrid, and payload. Now on the attack side, you're speed boosting your allies to the objective, switching to healing once the action starts. You're trying to break into the objective so you can capture it, and once you get to that spot, you're just holding it down with your allies, just healing them up, and trying not to die. Now if you and your allies do die, wait for them to respawn, and then move with them back to the objective to try to take it again. It is worth considering waiting for your allies whenever a bunch of death happens. Now if only you die, then get your ass back over there. Simple as that. Now you want to push the enemies off the objective and into bad situations if you can, into fall deaths or into your allies. That's the thing you want to do. And on some objectives, you can actually wall ride around to maintain an overtime if everyone's dead except you. Now after that, in capture, you're going for the second objective point. It's the same kind of idea. Bring your teammates over there, try to win the game. But in payload, the thing you're usually doing is hiding behind the cart. Pushing forward with your allies, but hiding behind the cart. The nice thing is the cart ignores line of sight for your healing aura, so you don't have to worry about that when it comes to healing your allies. So just hide behind the cart, heal allies. If enemies show up, push them away, try to shoot them as well, and you can do really well with the payload. Now when it comes to your ultimate, you're saving that for just big situations, either causing a big situation for your teammates by breaking into an objective, or to keep the payload alive, just stuff like that. That's usually what you save your ultimate for. Now on the defense side, it's usually the same idea. You're speed boosting your allies to the objective to protect it, using your healing aura to protect your allies, staying out of the enemy's range so you don't get hurt, trying to put out damage to build your ultimate at the same time though. If you can push enemies off to their deaths, do that as well. Also pushing enemies away from the objective if possible. Now when you die, if allies also die, speed them back to the objective just like an attack, and wall ride on objectives to maintain a contest. This is a thing. If the enemy's on a point and you're alive, if they have walls near that point, you can jump on the walls and become a harder target to hit, just so you can keep the contest going. Sometimes Lucio can be the one that wins the game for his team, because he's able to just keep the objective from being captured by the enemy team by just wall riding all day. It can be very annoying to deal with a Lucio that knows how to do that. Now when it comes to payload, your job is usually to just heal your allies as they're trying to kill the enemies off the payload, and in desperate situations, you can speed over to the payload and push enemies off the payload, and just stay around the cart to not allow the enemy to push forward. You can hide behind the cart, putting the heal down, keeping yourself alive, using speed to jump over the cart or jump around the cart with your wall ride. A lot of things you can do, and as always, using your ultimate to stop a big push from the enemy or create a big push for your team. Now when it comes to control, Lucio is a beast. Lucio is able to kill so many people on these maps because there's so many fall deaths that he can do here. Ilios, every map has a lot of good places for fall deaths. On Lijiang, 2 of the maps are really good for fall deaths, and on Nepal there's at least 1 good map for fall deaths. Lucio can do a lot of work here, and also he can just keep his teammates alive with his healing. It's really hard to be coordinated and controlled because you're doing a lot of attacking and defending or trying to get kills and stuff like that, so Lucio is very useful here. But usually at the start, you're speeding your allies to a location, killing the enemy or holding the point before it activates, and once you're there, if you won the point, you're just holding down this point with your heal, and if you don't have the point, then you're just healing your allies trying to get to the point. And with your ultimate, you're just doing that as well. You're using the ultimate to take the point, using the ultimate to save the point. That's all you're doing, and of course, wall ride is very important. A lot of the points in Control have wall ride locations, so Lucio can stall for a long time. Tips and tricks with Lucio. The first one's got to do with wall ride, and that is, you can wall ride up things. Like, gravity does not matter. You can wall ride up. It's a bit silly like that. Like, you get knocked off the stage, you can actually wall ride back in because Lucio can do that. You can also wall ride around spawn when the match is first starting out, just so you can practice a little bit. You can also just do a custom match and practice wall riding the entire maps, just figuring out how that works. Just remember, the floor is lava when you're practicing. Now, when it comes to your gun, just saying it again, lead your shots. That's very important. You want to build ultimates off tanks with your shots. It's just easiest off them since they're big targets. And you want to try to push enemies away from your allies or into bad situations. It's just really good to screw over the enemy with your pushback. And another is, when it comes to push, you can postpone an enemy maze freeze. This is important because maze freeze will get people killed, and you can postpone it by keeping away from people for at least a moment. Another thing with push, if you move in close enough to Reinhardt, you can push him away, because you can push past the shield. Now when it comes to speed boost, always remember to speed boost your teammates from spawn to objectives, just something to keep in mind. And last one is amp it up for heals when things look bad. I know that sounds very straightforward, but sometimes you see a Lucio that just doesn't do it. It is important to go for those heals when things look bad because you can build your ultimate from a bunch of healing and keeping your team alive. In conclusion, Lucio is just a great healer, but he's really good in teams with bad coordination. The reason behind this is just because he has a heal aura. As long as he's around teammates, they'll get healed. And that's not a bad thing at all, it's helpful if you have a team that sometimes people just can't coordinate very well for a match. Another thing to keep in mind, you want to, master wall riding, because it'll make you a very annoying threat, and also allows you to get to places quicker, because he can create shortcuts for himself that can be very nice. You want to learn how to hide from the enemy to stay around longer for your teammates, more healing, less dying, very helpful. And of course you want to pay attention to who else might be dead when you die, because it's just great to be able to lead people back to the fight. What's great about Lucio is he's simple to start out, because you just got to focus on the heal and then the speed boost, and later on, he's really hard to master, but once you do, you can just do a lot of work with him. The wall rides, getting some damage out, pushing people back. He is just a very good hero to know how to play in the game. So that's why he's the fourth guide and the first support hero we won over, because he's just got a lot to him, while also being very simple. As always, I feel it's important to subscribe to the channel and to share these guides. That way more people can get these different ideas of how to play these heroes, just more knowledge to learn for the game. The more heroes you learn how to play in the game, the better you'll be for your team, because you can always switch to something your team might need, which is always a good thing for everybody. Now the next guy we're going to go over is going to be Junkrat. He's a really good defense hero, he can do a lot of work for his team, he can kill a lot of people, he can defend locations pretty well, so that's why he's going to be the next one we're going to go over. So that right there is the guide. I had fun making it, hope you had fun watching and listening, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Having fun. Let's come by and see you next time.